Currently we have it hooked up to a laptop so we can see and capture waveforms, and you can see the triggering of the valves and the opening and the waveform of the breath.
Ryan Zamudio used to repair medical equipment in the military. Now he's on contract repairing broken ventilators for hospitals preparing for COVID-19 patients.
In order to be able to repair a particular manufacturer's ventilator, what do you need to be able to do?
So, of course, access to parts and tech literature, have the proper test equipment, the proper tools to remove and install components. Also, the working knowledge of what is this thing supposed to do.
Are there enough people who are able to repair these ventilators right now to meet the demand?
The demand that we're seeing, I would say no.
But it's taking him longer to repair the ventilators than it should, because some manufacturers restrict access to parts and service manuals. In fact, these manufacturers prefer that their own technicians do the repairs, and not independent techs like Zamudio. Ventilator manufacturers argue that third-party repairs aren't as safe as their own. But in 2018, the FDA released a report saying that's not necessarily true.
We'll call into the manufacturer of the device that we're working on. Sometimes there's reluctance. We'll get an answer of, you need to send it in. What we're trying to do here is beat the current turnaround time and not have the unit be out for weeks or, in some cases, they can be out for months. If we don't have the material, of course, we can't do the work. We're dealing with lives here.
But repair isn't just difficult in the biomedical field. It's getting hard to find parts and manuals for all sorts of things. That's because whether you're a trained technician at a hospital with a broken ventilator, or a farmer with a tractor, or just a guy with an iPhone, manufacturers tend to tell you the same thing, that fixing your own stuff isn't a good idea. There is pushback against this though. Last year, at least 20 states were considering laws that would compel manufacturers to allow access to parts and manuals. Some of these would have included medical equipment. Some were limited to stuff like phones and appliances. But none of that legislation has passed, partially because manufacturers are lobbying against it. There are workarounds though. When Apple was throttling the performance of iPhones, I didn't feel like paying the $79 they were asking just to fix a battery. So I replaced it myself, thanks to a website that posted unauthorized tutorials. And now that same website is a resource for technicians who can't find ventilator manuals.
The biomedical technicians that I know have been telling me for years that they have the same problem with medical equipment that we've had with Apple not sharing service information for iPhones, that the manufacturers won't give them the information that they need.
When the pandemic started, iFixit started recruiting volunteers to gather and organize as many manuals as possible. They now have over 450 manuals for ventilators, most of them sourced via unauthorized methods.
When we've had technicians ask the manufacturers why they don't want the information getting out there, they'll say, because you'll make the information available to third-party service companies that are competing with us. The only reason to limit access to this information is to monopolize who can do the service. It's purely a profit play.
Is there any worry on your part or on the site's part that these manuals shouldn't be in the hands of just anybody?
Well, our focus is not to provide them to anybody, it's to provide them to the people that have the equipment. So the intended audience is biomedical engineering professionals, but the only way to make sure we get it to them is to post it online for everyone. It's important to recognize some manufacturers are doing the right thing, and some have decided that the profits of their shareholders is more important than the health outcomes of Americans.
On April 3rd, the U.S. Public Interest Research Group sent a petition to 25 manufacturers, asking them to release the manuals and schematics for their ventilators. 5 state treasurers also signed on. And some manuals have been voluntarily released by the manufacturers, but some of the most commonly used ones haven't. Kyle Ween says there was one in particular that he's concerned about.
There's the Puritan Bennett 980 is made by Medtronic. We don't have that service manual. I know that's the device used by our local hospitals here in California.
Maybe I'm being overly simplistic here. It's a manual. It seems like,
right.
Hey, just hit me with the PDF.
Uh-huh.
And they haven't.
They haven't done it. Ask Medtronic for comment on this. See what they say.
So we did reach out to Medtronic to ask if they had any plans to release the manual for the PB980. They didn't answer that question. But they did say, quote, "Of all the issues at play in the current ventilator situation, service and access to service manuals is not one of them." They also said that they provide service manuals to hospital biomeds to help them with basic troubleshooting and testing when requested. We also contacted AdvaMed, a trade organization that represents the industry, they didn't respond to a request for comment. But technicians like Zamudio still need to get the job done, even if it means working around the system.
It's got to feel for you like you should be spending time fixing these ventilators, not going around asking people, hey buddy, you got a manual I could use.
Right. We should be spending time at the bench, not on the phone, not sending out emails looking for things. It's the real work is done when the work orders get closed.